Okay, so here we are at another Dr. Ziz. Dr. Zzz. This dungeon of dungeoning, where today we're going to talk about maps. They're essential. You can't do without them. As you can see, I've got a really well developed, pretty complicated map here in my hands that I drew in person, me. But basically, what you want to do is you want to create a well developed world with at least five major cultures, at least three continents, at least 1,000 years of history, at the least. And you want every single location on the map to have at least 3 to 5 side quests for every single class. So creating a well-developed world is a huge endeavor, and it's more than one video to cover it. But the main thing is that it's like you have to decide where to place everything. You have to decide what's going everywhere. You have to decide a lot of stuff. You have to decide what even kind of a world it is. Is it a sci-fi world or a fantasy world? And today in these days and ages, you can use the AI to just and have a map, and that be the end of it. But I like it better when I draw it myself because that allows me to come up with, to do the mental exercise of actually coming up with what the place is about myself without having to talk to any of the chat or AIs or any of that. And it allows me to know something that the other person who's playing can't look up on the computer. So that, the direct stated version that I have created is the be all and the end all of it, period, functionally. And essentially, the way you want to create a map with your hand, if you want to just draw with your hand, is first of all, you want to give yourself about 20 to 50 place names, and that they can be in English. The ones on this map are not. Um, they are. I kind of this map is meant to be kind of like Lord of the Rings type stuff. I don't know exactly when I made it. It may have made it quite a long time ago. I don't honestly remember exactly when I made it. But it's like it's the absolutely essential because that way you'll know exactly how many days of travel things are from each other and how far away things are from each other and what kind of terrain people are going to have to go through, and you don't just have to pull that out of your mind wholesale and just make it up as you go along, which is fine. Some people do that. But I prefer to draw the map out by hand, which allows me to do the mental exercise of designing basically the whole world. And, every single one of these locations, has at least a few main storyline functions, a few people who are quest giver NPCs. Every single location on here has at least one person in it that's got something directly to do with any story that world uses. So there's a lot more to the map that I didn't show you because who has time to look over the 28 different lists of 50 names each of things you're probably not going to use. Which, I mean, on the other hand, if you wanted to get that from me, you certainly could do that, and I would give it to you. But yeah, that's like you have to like and subscribe first to do that. But yeah, this is like so. What you want to do is you want to draw your water bodies and give them their names, and then you want to draw your land mass, the whole land mass, so the whole coastal area, and you leave all of that blank completely until you're done with all of the continents and all of the coastline. And and then you need to decide, is it a political map where you show banded lines that are like this kingdom over here is this big circle and this kingdom over here is this big square, or is it a terrain map like this one is, or is it a mixed map where the place names are disclosed but also the um, terrain is shown very directly with visual representations of trees and rivers. Um, and actually, these maps, copies of this map, are I'll sell it to you cheap. I mean, I'll sell as many of them as you want. I've got quite a few of them. Some of them are from so long ago I don't really know that much about them because I don't really remember that much about them. But yeah, they are like, so once you've done that, then you take out your notebook and you take out your pencil and you look in your notebook and you get your cultures list and you write it down on a little piece of paper and then you start assigning locations their own cultures so that so that you have some direct knowledge of what kind of people live there and what has gone on there in the past. Then you select about, I don't know, maybe a third, maybe a tenth, not somewhere, some fraction of every location on the map, and you say these are extinct locations that are built by cultures that don't exist anymore, or have fallen to disaster or something like that and don't have a population. And I mean, if you are going all out on the talking stuff, you might also have a few select few locations that were built by deities uh, by hand during the time when deities are moving all around in the world in a visible shape. Should not be many of those unless the world is very young, and unless the world is so young that gods are still moving about in visible shape. There shouldn't be that many places that were built by the gods, unless there are god built locations that are meant to last until the end of history or something like that. Which that does happen, but it doesn't. There's not really many of those. I probably have only just one or two of those per world. Um, and then once you have assigned the civilization to each location, that's when, once the locations have their cultures assigned in the various areas, that's when you draw in the terrain. And you put the terrain around the cultures so that the biome that the culture desires to live in is what's near the location that they control. So that in a very natural manner you have a gradually expanding map of a world in which you're putting the cultures first and then putting the geography so that you have a mixed geography and a world where several prominent cultures are. Uh, but I mean, with AI, this is an obsolete skill, but it's a good mental exercise because it allows you to create the culture and decide things about deities and decide things about magic, decide things about monsters, and decide other things like that, and decide how far along people are, of who's Stone Age and who's in the Bronze Age and who's in the Iron Age. And usually fantasy doesn't really go too far beyond the Iron Age, but if you're Spelljammer or something like that, you might want to put some spaceship ports, as it were, too. Because in Spelljammer, they actually have wooden boats that are like wooden sail with like the big mast sailing that actually go to space. So you might want to have a dry dock or a landing area for a spaceship there if you want to go there. But Spelljammer was kind of obscure, but it was still really cool. I mean, but yeah, the maps that I have here, I mean, I don't really use them a lot. I'll sell copies of them. They will. I don't know exactly what the price is going to be. They're not going to be that expensive. I expect to continue on. Um, I expect to continue on doing review videos and continue on with Dungeons and Dragons videos. So here's another quick view of the map. And yeah, not all of them are quite that detailed, but most of them that I have that are up for grabs are that detailed. And this particular one, I think I actually have a translation that comes with this one that says, what the names mean. So, just let me know. If you're interested, you're interested, and we'll talk, and I'll set a price. It'll be a real reasonable price, but you'll be getting a copy of it, not this original. But Antarctica, the South Seas, a place that's like Castlevania, a place that's like Ravenloft, a place that's like Fallout. All of these wonderful places can be yours for cheap. It's better than vacation when you're locked down.